Hello and welcome back to another Digging the Game. Now today it's just me, but I have the immense pleasure and pride to talk to you a little bit about The Rise of the Tomb Raider, the latest Lara Croft adventure. This game is a follow-up to the 2013 reboot of the Lara Croft franchise, and these two games have been an attempt to reclaim Lara as a human being, as an archaeologist, and also, in terms of computer games, reclaim the title of Best Adventure Archaeology type game from the Uncharted series. Over the years, Lara has been many things. She started off as very much ironically two-dimensional, but made up of polygons character, where people would basically think of her as an adventurer and a sex symbol. Over the years, they build on her story a little bit in the games and also in some movies starring Angelina Jolie, but really we never really got to know her as a rounded human being. And in 2013, Crystal Dynamics, the development company, decided to really explore Lara's origins and therefore hopefully encourage us to re-engage with her as a human being. And this is a continuation of that journey, and I think it's a very successful one. Lara is voiced by a very believable actress. She looks much more believable in terms of her body shape. She's a believable young woman, but also she is a very relatable character, and as you can see, we're just about to be quite literally dropped into the action. So let's go. So she's actually just been sent flying out of an exploding jeep onto the side of a cliff, and here we are on the northwest border of Syria.
No turning back.
No turning back. Now we're looking for a lost tomb, and as you can see down in the valley there is actually a war unfolding. Syria in the game, as it is in real life at the moment, is a bit of a war zone, so Lara's not exactly in the safest of places. But as you can see already, she is feeling pain. She's a bit woozy from having been thrown from an exploding vehicle, and this is part of the reason why she's a much more relatable character than previous incarnations of Lara Croft.
In Dad's research about this.
It was said the Prophet's tomb was hidden in the cliffs above one of the forgotten cities. Legend speaks of an oasis where the Prophet was laid to rest.
Now, not only is she more relatable because she can feel pain and be hurt, but also she's relatable because of this subplot to do with her father. We hear a lot from her father, Richard Croft, through tapes that he left behind and that she uses for guidance, and also that she listens to at various points through the game. So we're looking for an oasis, and it looks as though we found some water in the cliffside.
Could this really be it?
Could this really be it? I think it might be. Now, let's just get through this bit, and we can sort of get through the cutscene, and I'll talk a little bit more about why this game is great, both as a computer game, but also from an archaeologist's perspective.
Some kind of marker. Can't quite make out the translation of this word. Prophet. This is it. Dad was right.
Now, this game deals with the search for a prophet, and this prophet is an unnamed individual. It's a character who apparently rose to fame or infamy in Byzantium, and is I suppose a controversial figure from around 1,000 years ago. Now, those sort of religious overtones they get quite strong through the game, but don't let that put you off. It's actually a very well researched, even if it's not historically accurate, it's a very well researched and historically authentic, if that makes sense, feeling game. And certainly the archaeology is excellent. Now, one of the reasons why the archaeology is excellent is because of this. Observe.
shown here performing healing miracles. Dad's notes mentioned this.
Now, by looking at the mural, you notice top left there that actually Laura's Greek improves. If we go and have a look at another mural, let's see this one over here.
These are the miracles of the prophet of Constantinople, unjustly murdered by order of Trinity.
See, her Greek has improved a little bit more. If only learning ancient Greek was in fact this easy.
It's the prophet, speaking with a foreign army. He convinced them to lay down their weapons.
And there we go, Greek level 1. So that means that now we can head on over here to the monolith and translate it.
My Greek is still a little rusty, but it's pointing to something hidden nearby. I'll mark down the locations.
Let's check out the map, shall we? And, oh, there, just in front of me, there should be some sort of coins. Where are they? Here. And then we have some ancient coins. Now, this is where Tomb Raider sort of gains and then loses a little bit of points for me, is that yes, you have this element of having to learn ancient languages, but then she uses ancient coins to purchase upgrades for her weapons at black markets. But then again, it's a computer game, we can let that go.
Followers through the desert to the oasis.
To the oasis. What oasis, I wonder? What's through here?
A secret entrance.
And here we come to the first big location in the game.
It's amazing.
And it is amazing.
Only Dad could have seen this.
It's really quite gorgeous. Now, I'm actually playing this game on the Xbox 360, and some of you will be aware that that's not the latest and greatest machine that Microsoft has to offer. The Xbox One is the current machine, but despite that, I think graphically this game is still gorgeous. It is a slight graphics downgrade, but all the features of the game are here, and I have to say, if the Xbox One looks nicer than this, then, well, that must be a breathtaking experience, because this is a fairly pretty game. Now, one thing that does continue to be a feature
They're already here.
in this game, and also the previous one, is the destructible nature of the environment. You observe everything appears to be just falling apart. So there's lots of Lara having to run and do her best to survive collapsing structures, and that's not entirely accurate for the life of an archaeologist, but in some ways it would be cool if it was. Then again, I don't know, when would you fit in your tea break, I wonder, or complaining about the weather if you had to do all this jumping and diving away from collapsing ancient buildings. Now, as an archaeologist,
Trinity pursued the prophet and his people relentlessly until finally confronting them in their hidden oasis.
Hopefully you heard that. As an archaeologist, I could actually spend all day just looking at these ruins and at the way in which they've been designed and put together. But obviously that's not necessarily why you're here. You want to see, I suppose, how the game plays as well.
A way through.
The sense of exploration in Tomb Raider is superb, and also actually there's a great sense of being rewarded for being explored. The more you look for things, the more you will find them. That almost sounds like a quote from scripture or something. Seek and you shall find.
Come on.
Oh. But it's true. The more you look for things in this game, the more you will find them. And the sense of exploration and depth has only improved with the most recent iteration of Tomb Raider. They did an awful lot to encourage exploration and finding little tidbits and extras in the Tomb Raider game from 2013. But in the Rise of the Tomb Raider, exploration is positively positively encourage. It is just necessary for the game.
There was a battle here. Armed soldiers against religious pilgrims.
Armed soldiers against religious pilgrims. Again, the game and the design of these archaeological spaces is absolutely gorgeous.
The prophet, slain by the order of Trinity.
At times, you're quite literally encouraged to just sit down and look at the landscape. But also, you find documents.
My son, the Order of Trinity has received word that the Prophet's followers are building a great tomb at an oasis outside Berea. But more upsetting, while we thought they were building the tomb for their Prophet, Trinity now believes he still lives. We have learned he is preaching his heresy among the local citizens, drawing more to him daily with his tales of how he conquered death. He is a liar and a heretic, claiming miracles that come only from the divine. You swore he was dead. Have you failed us?
You get a great many insights into the story and the ongoing and also the backstory to the game by finding these documents lying around. There's someone who's been unfortunately rather conclusively killed with a sword. But in terms of the exploration and in terms of the I suppose the sense of adventure, this game feels much more like much more like in that sense a Tomb Raider game, because Lara has chosen to go on this adventure. In the previous game she was trapped on an island. The ship she was on quite literally crashed into this island. In this game, Lara has conclusively decided to go looking for something. And so this game feels much more proactive. Lara has much more of a sense of agency, as it were. And therefore you as the player have much more of a feeling that you're in control of, I suppose, a place where Lara wants to be, and indeed an adventure that Lara wants to be on. She's not just surviving. She is in fact thriving with your help. For example here, solving a bit of a problem. Bring the water in. And there we go. The controls continue to feel really good, really fluid, and really responsive. And it... And it allows you to experience the adventure of the game. Come on! Swim faster! Swim faster! Yep. Phew. So I've deliberately chosen this section of the game to play through because it doesn't really tell you anything important about the ongoing overarching story. But when you actually get into the story proper...
Stunning.
Stunning indeed.
We need it, Dad.
When you get into the story proper, you actually find yourself in Siberia. That's not really a spoiler. If you've been doing any reading about this game, you will have heard that that is the case. And in Siberia, the landscape becomes very important. Hunting and gathering resources and supplies to help you survive is crucial. And crucially, compared to the previous game, gathering of supplies has a one-to-one benefit. That is to say, you don't just say, I don't know, kill animals and get points, or what was called salvage in the previous game, to use randomly on anything you want, for example upgrading weapons. Rather, in this game, this one-to-one element means that if you, for example, salvage wood, you can more easily make arrows. If you salvage certain geological elements, rocks and minerals, shall we say, then that can help you as well in very particular ways. They've really thought through, I suppose, the feeling that people wanted from the previous game, and that was largely delivered, but they've thought about how they can better deliver it, that sense of adventure. and that sense of, ooh, spike trap. Oh, blimey.
Damn, they're almost inside.
And that sense that what you're doing is surviving against the odds. You're not just, as it were, in a computer game. Of course you are, but by making it so that gathering wood means, for example, you can make arrows, or skinning animals means you can make clothes, and gathering other resources adds to your abilities, adds to your range of abilities. Oh, rats. Then once again it adds to that sense of agency. Some people I've noticed have criticised this game for not adding, I suppose, to the humanity of Lara. I don't know where they're coming from on that. Some people have sort of suggested that perhaps Lara feels, towards the end of the game, a little bit like a entirely capable, almost Terminator-like adventure machine. I can sort of see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I think that's an unfair criticism. As is the criticism that, for example, the bow that she gets fairly early on in the game, and indeed the bow was a big feature of the previous Tomb Raider game, the criticism that this bow becomes rapidly inconsequential because of the plethora of guns that she gains access to, that's also not true. If you're playing this game properly, and indeed, for example, if you want to be stealthy in the later sections when there are lots of people around, then you need to, for example, continue to use all of the tools and the weapons which are at your and Lara's disposal. Now, I just need to get over here and try and solve this puzzle properly. Now, a feature which I haven't yet used properly is the so-called survival instinct. If I click the right-hand stick,
If I could get out onto that bar.
then what is highlighted is, I suppose, opportunities for Lara to progress in the game. Her survival instinct, as it were, kicks in, and you're able to get a sense of what you could or should be doing. Now, I think I need to get over here. There we go. Now, these survival instinct highlights include resources in the landscape, animals that maybe that you can hunt, and also, in this instance, the ways to solve certain puzzles. So I've managed here to wash myself over the top of this fence and into the next section of the game. The design is beautiful. Notice, for example, elements such as mosaic tiles on the wall there, the catacombs with webbing and bones all over the place. The way that light actually reflects off these tiles, for example here, just above Lara. The textures are gorgeous.
Found you.
We found the Prophet's tomb. Or have we?
Empty. It's empty. No. No. What did I miss?
Here is our, I suppose, main antagonist, a guy called Constantine, works for a group called Trinity. And Trinity are the baddies. They're an ancient order, as these people so often are. You know, the Illuminati, the Templars. The Trinity group started out as a bunch of knights who wanted to stop the heresy, and now are seeking all power in the world.
And the artifact inside.
Notice there that Constantine has a stigmata on his hand. He's apparently a very religious man.
Careful.
Stigmata are religious wounds, if you don't know. It's well worth Googling.
Who the hell are you?
You're a smart woman. I suspect you already know.
Trinity.
Where is the artifact?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't play games with me. You led us to this place.
Look, it was empty when I got here. There was no body and definitely no artifact.
Also, the music in this game is superb. Thematic, filmic, but also doesn't get in the way of the sense of adventure or gameplay. Oh.
Get down!
I may well try and get the score when it comes out on CD. So, a little bit of gunplay here, slightly brutal headshots. This game is in fact an 18, and I will refrain from showing anything too violent just in case there are some younger people watching. Ah! He says, being squished by a pillar. Off we go. So now we're into another element of the gameplay, and that is the destructible nature of the environment and the sort of semi-scripted events which occur in the game, where Lara will find herself having to get out of certain areas as they are destroyed. But usually if you keep an eye out, you can figure out how to do it without getting squished or squashed or, for example, falling into spike pits or falling through holes like that. And here, this is very reminiscent of the end of Temple of Doom, when the minecart, after the minecart sequence, when the mine is flooded.
What's this?
And there's a clue on the side of the cliff. Well, let's leave it there, shall we? So hopefully, guys, that's given you a bit of an insight into what this game is like. The story takes, I don't know, around about 24 hours to complete, and it is a pretty good story, and actually crucially leads to a bit of a cliffhanger at the end, where they're hinting very strongly at a larger third act to this ongoing story that they're telling. The gameplay is fun, but crucially, from an archaeologist's perspective, the designs are excellent. This game is very much linked with that sort of Byzantine architecture, that sort of post-Roman opulence, the continuing opulence of these people, and actually the connection, for example, with Russia, which went on to be linked, say, with the Russian royal family prior to the revolution, is not hinted at, but it is. That's the reason why they go to Siberia in this game. In history, the Eastern Roman Empire had a strong connection with that whole rise, the Eastern Orthodox Church, so on and so forth, and that's the reason why this is so thematic. Siberia. Byzantine architecture, and also this story of this prophet rising and travelling away from Constantinople, etc. It is an excellent story and an excellent game, and as I say, very, very well researched. I found it truly a pleasure to play, and what little that I do know of the archaeology of that part of the world is reflected extremely well in this game. I am absolutely certain that Liv and I will return to this at some point in the not too distant future when she's had a chance to play it for herself. But anyway, guys, hopefully this has been an interesting insight, and as ever, whatever you're up to, please do take care. Bye bye.